You're accused of violating the conditions of your parole specifically. Condition number 4, you are arrested on December 5th, 2020 by the Pineville Police Department for second-degree rape. You were billed for attempted carnal knowledge of a juvenile, indecent behavior with a juvenile, and sexual battery on February 17, 2021. An order of non pros was issued for all charges on October 11, 2021. You pled guilty to the arrest only, but the charges were dropped by the DA's office. So how do you plead to violating condition number 4 of your parole conditions?
Guilty. You said I pled guilty to being arrested?
Yes. Okay. Condition number 10. You are currently in arrears of $850 towards your parole supervision fees. The last time you made a payment was December 25th, 2020, $63. How do you plead, sir?
Well, the only reason why I was in arrears.
When I just need your plea, you can tell me about it after we finish.
I'm in arrears.
Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Okay. We'll talk about it in a second. Condition number 13, which was a special added condition, no contact with minor children. You're currently a registered sex offender who has a juvenile victim. According to the reports from the Pineville Police Department, you were found to be alone in a residence located in Alexandria with a 13-year-old female. It's not only a violation of your parole condition, but it's also a violation of your sex offender contract, which you signed March 21st, 2013. So how do you plead to being in violation of the special condition?
Not guilty.
Okay, so let's talk about it for a second. So you pled guilty to number 4, which was the arrest.
I got arrested, yes. But it wasn't nothing proven. You know what I'm saying? None of that. Like I said, the case was dismissed. So I don't feel that I should be held accountable for that situation, I feel, because there was nothing ever transpired.
All right. As a special condition of your parole, and by order of the parole board in July of 2016, you are to have no contact whatsoever with juveniles, even your own children.
Okay, I can explain that, ma'am. In 2016, I had a parole officer, which was named Mark Hopkins. He knew the girl personally and what I was locked up for when I was a 17-year-old kid. It was more that he went to a one-panel board and told those people that he never could get in contact with me. I wasn't ever reporting.
Does it matter? The condition was added and you violated it, apparently, because you were arrested and you were in the home with a 13-year-old. Let's move on. So you pled guilty to condition number 10 about your arrearages. Why hadn't you paid your fees?
I've been locked up for the past year, man. I can't, I don't have no income. I don't have nothing coming. So I cannot pay fees.
Okay. I understand. Okay. Number 13, violating your sex offender contract. You pled not guilty.
Right. I had a reason for being down there. My niece lived with these people. The girl, the house for the, and what, me and her had sexual relations before. We've been knowing each other. Understand what I'm saying? I never had a problem with going to these people's house or nothing like that. I was under the assumption going down there, getting a car seat for my niece because she had a handicapped baby that was born.
I understand. We have all that.
This was her room.
We have all that information in our records that you were supposedly in a closet, hiding in a closet, looking for the bottom of or part of the car seat or whatever. I understand all that. We have all that. It's still a violation of your sex offender contract and the special conditions of your parole. All right, let's hear from, we have 2 speakers. Let's hear from your niece. I guess that's is it Miss Rice? Would you unmute your microphone, ma'am?
Yes.
Go ahead, ma'am. What would you like us to know?
I was the reason why he was down there getting the car seat.
Right. You had just given
Um,
birth. Right.
Ma'am.
You had just had a baby.
Yes, I had my baby in August, and he was in the hospital. He was born at 5 months, and he had went down there and got the car seat for me and everything. But they removed the car seat from out the closet where he was looking for it at, and they put it in a different closet. No wonder he couldn't find it.
Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am. And we'll hear from Miss Sharon Williams. Miss Sharon, would you unmute your microphone?
Yeah. Excuse me. I'm not trying to, disappoint anyone, but I'm supposed to also been in the hearing as well for the speak.
I see you there. We'll get to you, Mr. Rice. Stand by. Go ahead, Miss Williams.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. I just want to talk on behalf of who Michael is. He was there only for the car seat bottom. He has done exceptionally well out here. He's kept a job. He's paid his fees. He's went to his counseling. He's done everything that he was supposed to do. The reason, you already know the reason why he was there for his niece. It was when his sister died, he had promised his sister that he would look after her kids, her girls. And that he was the only one that could go down there to get the bottom of the car seat. He did not know that she was there. He's a good man. We've got so much. We own a trailer now. He has a vehicle. He owns another car. I don't even know where to begin to let you know that he's not a bad person. He didn't do anything to her. He would never, ever do anything to her. I mean, I'm just begging you just to please. I don't know. He didn't do anything to her. He did not. He was really only there for the car seat bottom. And I don't know nothing else to say except for he wishes 1,000 times over that he would have never went there. But he didn't do anything to the girl. He didn't. I know you're saying he violated it, but if you could please just look at who he is now as a man. And this was 28 and a half years ago. I don't know.
Thank you, ma'am. I know this is difficult for you. We appreciate you sharing your thoughts. Mr. Willie Rice?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. What would you like us to know?
Yes, I would like y'all to know that although things are the way they may seem to be, a lot of times when you have a heart and you believe that things are tried and true, a lot of stuff that we have witnessed and learned in this lifetime is that actions always speak louder than words. A lot of times we make mistakes and have faults in life. But one thing that is clear, my brother's record clarifies the fact that he is a good, genuine, honest American citizen. He has learned from his past faults. The past faults that he was accused falsely. Now, he may have been in a situation where he wasn't supposed to be, but he was under the intention of helping a loved one. And he had no idea that he was going to be going into a situation where this young lady was home alone. Anyone in that situation could have been caught up in the fact and the matter of things that took place at that time. So what we're asking y'all is to not be so fervent and the knowing that you're saying he violated these speculations and things like that, and that y'all just please have some mercy. Just give him a chance. He hasn't been out trying to manipulate the system. He came out into the world and he prospered, and he was still prospering. Right before this situation took place, he was beginning to work a new job at the mill. He was only climbing higher. He wasn't trying to ruin his life with dealing with something like a child, man. Will you all please just look at the fact besides the point that he violated this and he violated that, but it was a mistake. It wasn't intentionally done. It was a mistake. That's what it was. And we're hoping that you all can be lenient and not so vigorous to say, well, you did this. And we know you did it on purpose when we can't say that because it was a mistake. He had a purpose and a reason for going where he was going. And that's why he went trying to help our niece, because she wasn't able to help herself and there was no one else that could do so. And the parents were always there. The man that was there, the woman and the man was always there. So he didn't know that they were not going to be there.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Rice. Thank you, Mr. Rice. We hear what you're saying. We appreciate it. Let me ask Mr. Michael Rice, is there a brief statement you'd like to make to us to wrap it up?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Like I say, ma'am, you know, my brother was saying, just look at the facts. I haven't done anything. All I was doing was trying to help my niece. That's it. Excuse me. I was just trying to go down there and get the car seat. I had no idea this girl would be there by herself. This guy came back. What it was, man, I went in the closet, he pulled a gun on me. Me and the guy never really got along. I've been around these people, man. I never had no intentions of doing anything bad. I'm not a predator or nothing like this. Ma'am, I was just doing a favor for my niece. I'm just asking y'all to please just give me another chance back at my freedom. I haven't done anything wrong. I was out there almost 8 years doing good. I didn't do nothing wrong. I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, man. The charges was dismissed. They didn't prove nothing. Okay, I know what the conditions said, the special conditions, this and that, but that could happen to anybody. I'm asking you to please find it in your heart. Please. I haven't done any crime or nothing.
Mr. Rice, when you learned that the girl was there home alone, why didn't you just turn around and walk away?
Ma'am, it's 2 hours away. My niece needed the car seat. It's 2 hours away.
Okay, I hear you.
I was already there.
All right, thank you. I would like to ask my board members for an executive session to discuss confidential matters.
Second. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. I see that Mr. Roche does concur. So folks, just stand by for a moment. We're going to be in executive session for just a couple of moments to discuss confidential matters. All right, I think we're all back in the room, and so we'll be back in regular session, and we're prepared to vote, and I'll be voting first. Mr. Rice? I read all the details in the information that was provided to us in preparation for today. I do not believe that you're being entirely truthful with us this morning. And I do find you guilty of violating the conditions of your parole. So my vote today is to revoke your parole. Ms. Jackson?
All right. Likewise, sir, When you went to the house and the 13-year-old came to the door, and according to the information, she told you that her parents weren't home. I don't care if it was 5 hours away. You knew the restrictions that had been placed on you. She certainly could have brought the seat out to you without you having to go into that house and be in a closet in her bedroom. I don't. You never should have went in that house. You should have asked her to bring you out the car seat. And if she couldn't find it, then you should have turned around and left, because you know how serious your situation is. You know the restrictions that are placed on you. The board has previously been so concerned about you that they have prohibited you to have contact, unsupervised contact with your own children. And so, I find that you have violated the conditions of your release, Mr. Rice, and my vote today is for revocation.
Mr. Roche.
Mr. Rice, I find you guilty both of violating condition number 13 of your parole supervision contract and also violating your sex offender contract, which you signed in 2013.
Today, Mr. Rice, your parole's been revoked. That,
So I don't have, what is called?
Okay, so my understanding of this case is that he was initially charged at 28 and a half years ago for when he was, I think, 19 years old, for doing this to a minor under the age of, I believe, 12. We don't have any additional details on that, but as the board said, it was it could be by default. If you do it, if it's under the age of 12, you can't even spend time with your own children. I'm not sure if that's mandatory but either way, then he gets out of prison and he's found. My understanding is that he's found in a little girl's room, hiding in a closet when her father comes back with a weapon and says, "What are you doing in here?" That's my understanding of what happened. And then he's saying that it was all just a misunderstanding. He's in that room to get the bottom of this car seat. And Richard has in the notes here that he was found guilty or pled guilty to the charge of to another charge of sexual assault of a child for this case a year later. I don't have the record. The link that he put in there is a dead link. I wrote him and I tried Googling myself, but that's what I have in the notes. This would make him a repeat offender 2 times that he's been caught, and really, really scary. I mean, the records that I have indicated, of course, that he is still locked up. But to think, in addition to if he had the additional charge, remember this hearing took place on 12/16/2021, so 2 years ago, and then he was found. It says that he was found guilty in 2021. It's just terrifying. And then you have his supporters. Who was it? That was Sharon. He's a good man. He's a good man. It's like he was found in a closet of a little girl. That's just, how scary is that? How scary is that? And I think the board made the right decision. But Hey, you tell me, do you think it was just one big misunderstanding? And I know I wish I could get more information for you on the on the conviction for this charge, but I don't have it. I just have it in my notes here. And in my notes, it says convicted September 10th of 2022, but I don't, again, like I said, the link I have, it goes to a dead link, but I take Richard's word for it. So there you have it. Innocently found in a little girl's closet getting bottom. Or was he doing something else? Well, the data shows that he was caught. And that is terrifying. It might be more terrifying that he has these supporters that are in denial. But hey, those PhDs and their low risk scores, they're not going to be happy to hear this, that the offender came back, huh? But with that, I'll let you go. Some of you may remember this hearing. We published it on November 10th. It has 8,000 views. If you have already seen it, skip to minute 25 for hearing 2. Also, I have additional information that Richard found that we'll go over on this case. With that, let's jump in.
We're here for the preliminary, so you heard who's on the parole panel this morning. So we'll just get started. I'm going to read some information into the record. Your case was assigned to me, so then I'll start the interview process and then offer my colleagues a chance to answer any questions, ask any questions rather that they may have of you. We'll hear from Ms. Bauer, and then at the end, you'll be allowed to make a statement if you'd like to before we reach a decision. So, Ms. Boyce, you're classified as a third felony offender. Most recently, you were sentenced July 9th, 2018 for operating a vehicle while intoxicated. You received a 5-year sentence. They billed you also as a habitual offender for operating a vehicle while intoxicated, and you received a 10-year sentence. And then you had another sentencing for failure to report commission of certain felonies. Let me get back to that page. And you received a 1-year sentence for that. Your parole eligibility date was July 5th, 2020. You have a good time date, January 10, 2027. Your full term date is July 5th, 2028. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I noticed when I look at your record for your new conviction, you started out at LTCW in July of 2018, and you were back and forth in court in Jefferson Parish over a period of time through October of 2019. What was going on with you?
That was in reference to my soon-to-be ex-husband. I was going back and forth in court for him. Part of what led up to my incarceration was he almost killed me when I tried to leave him, when I told him I wanted a divorce. And I wound up in the trauma unit with bleeding from my brain swole, my leg was fractured. I had multiple seizures, so they were bringing me back and forth on the behalf of what had happened. And that's part of what led up to my DUI conviction.
Was that divorce proceedings or criminal
No, ma'am.
proceedings?
It was criminal proceedings.
Okay, and so you were participating in that process.
Yes, ma'am.
So you mentioned children. You have 5 kids?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
What are their age ranges? Tell me. How old's the oldest?
My oldest is 20. That's my son Bradley, and then Layla, she's 15. Then Terrell, I want to say, because he doesn't live with me, okay, I want to say he's 14, and my daughter Nevaeh is 13, and my youngest son is 11.
So where do they live?
My oldest son, he's in college. My oldest daughter, she's in Washington, D.C. with a family member. My son Terrell lives in Woodmere with a family member who adopted him. And then my daughter Nevaeh and my son Ernest, they both reside with their biological father in New Orleans.
In New Orleans?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. You have any contact with any of them?
No, ma'am, I haven't since my incarceration.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned what led to your DWI. Let's talk about that.
Due to the severe brain injury that I had and the narcotics that I was on, the prescriptions, it didn't mix very well. Every time I was taking the medication and driving, I would just black out. And I went to jail for 1 DUI. I got out. The exact same thing happened again. I got out. It happened again a third time, and I never got out of prison since then. And all the while I was going back and forth to the hospital trying to find out what was wrong with me. It's like my body was present, but I wasn't. I was absent. Something like from my brain injury and the medication, it just was not a good mixture at all.
When did the injury occur?
Oh, I don't remember the exact date.
Year. Give me a year.
It was in
2015.
Yes, ma'am.
So it never occurred to you that you can't drink and take the medication?
I wasn't drinking. It was just from taking the narcotic medication and driving. I didn't drink
Oh,
any
I see.
alcohol.
I see. I see. So what programs have you been able to take since you've been there?
I've taken several actually. I took Celebrate Recovery, Living in Balance, Anger Management, the High Set program, what else? MRT. Let's see, for what else?
That's good. That's a good represent. You've been taking advantage of opportunities. So
Oh, yes,
which of those
ma'am.
was the most meaningful to you?
To be honest with you, I really like the victim awareness class that we had, and I like the MRT.
So what was your most important takeaway from the MRT?
The MRT taught me how to deal with life better and to examine myself better, to look at myself honestly and then examine self and go forward with decisions and so forth and so on. It's a good program if you apply yourself.
Well, that's good to hear. Glad to hear that. Are you, you tell us why you think we ought to give you consideration for early release.
To be completely honest with you, I'm not the same woman who walked in this prison. I'm a completely different woman. I really spent my time wisely. I learned everything I could about the Word of God, and He transformed me. The Word of God really transformed my heart and renewed my mind. Before I came to prison, I was very naive and gullible, and I really didn't know how to make the best of choices. But because of applying myself in the Word, God taught me how to make wise choices and how to think better, how to overall just be a better person and act better. Not just that, but God greatly used me in the midst of my incarceration to minister to others, the inmates and the officers over the years of my incarceration, to reach out and help other people. And I've really done the best that I can, to be completely honest with you, to change my life. And God has greatly changed my life.
Let's talk about the failure to report the crime. Who was the
Yes,
victim
ma'am.
in that matter?
That would have been my daughter, Nevaeh.
And you mentioned your your injury, your brain injury that we
Yes,
just
ma'am.
talked about. Who was the perpetrator in that case?
Merton Shane Bailey.
Okay. All right. He was Nile Price, and it was Percy Prestonbach.
Yes, ma'am.
Who was the sex offender.
Yes, ma'am.
And that at that time, that was your boyfriend?
No, ma'am, that was my stepdad. I misunderstood your question. I thought you meant who was, I misunderstood, ma'am. I apologize.
Okay. I'm going to defer to my colleague. We'll defer to my colleagues, and then we'll hear from Ms. Bauer. Mr. Roche, you have, I'll give it to you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chairman. Good morning, Ms. Boyce. How are you?
Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
First of all, I'm interested in knowing how you're doing physically. This physical abuse happened in 2015, am I correct?
Yes, sir, you're correct.
Okay, and tell me how you're doing now.
I'm Doing much better now. It took about a year for me to heal from my brain injury, but I'm doing overall much better now.
Okay. What medication are you on now?
They don't have me on any more medication. The only medication that I take now is for the a mood stabilizer, which is Tegretol, and I take thyroid medication.
Okay. And how long have you had the mood problem?
To be honest with you,
Excuse me 1 second, please.
yes, sir.
Okay, at this time, I'll ask some questions, Mr. Renaud, to be okay.
Yes, sir.
Well, one of the things I was looking at, and I think you summed it up for me. You told me there. I was looking at some of the arrest citations you had on DWI, and a lot of those you had blood tests was drawn. You didn't have a. What was the medication you was on?
I was on several medications. I was on Valium, Depakote. Ooh, they gave morphine. They gave me from the hospital. And whatever other, I can't remember all the pain medicines. I think they gave me codeine or something.
Well, you know, with those substances there, you don't need to be a driver. I mean, I was looking at some of these things. You're very, very lucky you didn't get killed.
This is the thing, and I say this with honesty. My brain injury was so severe to the point to where, sir, I couldn't think. And what I mean by that is everything was altered, in other words, due to my brain injury. So my decision making was not what it should have been.
Okay. Thank you. I was just concerned about that. I kept looking for
Yes,
a blood
sir.
alcohol content. I couldn't, and it kept showing where you had a blood test.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. O'Shea?
I want to apologize to the board and to Ms. Boyce. The old man forgot to unplug the telephone this morning. Now let's get back. And you said that you're feeling much better now and that you do not have any medication. And I think the last question I asked you was about your mood medication. How long have you had this problem with mood changes?
Okay, actually it didn't start off with a mood change. They actually, in the beginning, they had me on lithium for being manic bipolar. And then they changed me from that because I maxed out on the medicine and it wouldn't work anymore to Depakote. And during my incarceration, they tested my blood and my levels were very, very high for my liver. So they had to take me off of it because it became dangerous.
Okay.
So then they placed me on the Tegretol.
How long have you had the diagnosis of bipolar?
Since I was a child, a
Okay.
young girl.
Now, I understand that you had an arrest record because of your medication, but I also see that you have an arrest record that extends 15 years before the abuse. And I want to ask you about, and some of these were all processed, some of them were dismissed, but in 2000, you got arrested for simple theft. 2000, disturbing the peace by fighting. 2003, possession with intent to distribute, Schedule 4. 2004, extortion. 2004, possession of hydrocodone and some other drugs. And you received a 2-year sentence. 2011, theft of 500, between 500 and 1,500. 2011, domestic abuse battery. Let's talk about the domestic abuse battery. What was that for?
Yes, sir. Oh, I really don't remember that particular incident. What I can say to you is my past. I was not brought up in a home that I should have been brought up in. I was in and out of foster homes. Molested. My mother was not present. She was on drugs. And so I really didn't have anyone present to raise me. So I really raised myself, and I just did the best that I could with what I had.
Okay.
I got on pills at a young age by my godparents, and they basically said, it's okay if you do it, just don't tell nobody. So at a very young age, I became addicted to narcotics. And from there, it just kind of spiraled. My pill addiction, what led up
Okay.
to my behavior.
Okay, Ms. Boyce. And then you had in 2011, prohibitive acts with Schedule 2. You had your first DWI arrest in 2011. So you had an extensive criminal history even before the 215 domestic abuse. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
So basically, you had a DWI prior to your reasoning why you had so many DWIs. I just wanted to put that in the record. Madam Chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Roche. Ms. Bauer, we'd like to hear from you.
Yes, ma'am. Angel's been here with us for quite a while, since 2018. No write-ups. She's completed lots of classes, never a problem, has worked when she could. Never any issues.
Great, thank you.
And she
Is
has
there,
two staff members in here also. Two
that
other
wants
staff
to-
members are in here.
that want to speak
Yes, ma'am.
on her behalf? Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
okay. Whoever's going to speak first, if you come up and stand next to her so we can see you. Introduce yourself, please.
My name is Roberta Bell, and I am a correction officer at LTCW.
Great, okay.
And I would like to say here that since I've been here over a little over a year, and I met Miss Angel on the walk, and I could see in her a concerned, caring, loving person. The first time that she spoke to me. And I can say truly from my heart that she has transformed into a better person, a better woman. And I believe that she would be a big, big impact and inspiration on other women's outside and inside as well, because we have all grown and loved and respected her because of the work that she's done for LTCW. So many people that are hurt, she can come and she can love on them and tell them about the goodness of God and what she has been through and how they can overcome what they're going through.
Mhm.
And
Well, good. Thank you.
you.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. Thank you.
Hi,
Good
God
morning.
bless you. I am the chaplain here at this facility, but I'm also a pastor. And I got to know Miss Boyce, and I can truly, truly say that she has a genuine love for God. And you know, some people, they come and just the form and the fashion, but I've seen her and she has assisted me in my duties. And if you see the change after every deep conversation that we have, that you see change, I see transformation, and I see a person that has a how do you say that? She wants to do things better, and she has a problem with making mistakes. She wants to look at it, she mirrors it, and then she tries not to make the same mistake again. So then I have to tell her, don't beat yourself up, just get up and make better choices. And she's an inspiration. She's ministering to the women out here as if she has my job. And she has been a great inspiration and help. And I truly believe that she has learned from her mistakes. She has shared, she was transparent and shared her story with me. And she didn't try to point out fingers to others, which I really respected. And owned her mistakes, and she said she will make better decisions. And I will be her spiritual counselor, and I will take her under my wings in her own ministry that we have, Blessings for You Ministry. So yes, I believe she's really ready.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for hearing.
Appreciate it. Thank you. So, Ms. Boyce, tell us about your transition plan. When I looked at the record, I saw like 3 different residence plans.
Actually, I have a current address now. The reason that there was 3 different ones is because it kept changing until finally I was like, okay, Angel, and I just laid it all at the altar and I just asked God to please give me peace with the decision that I had to make, and He did. And I have a current friend of mine, which I have her name and her phone number and address in my pocket. Her name is Karen Wilson, and she lives in Rayville, and I would be residing there under my parole until I can find my own place. There's Delta College and ULM, I think it's called. What is that right, Miss April? ULM out here. And so there's the professor actually works here, who works at the ULM, and he said he would get me in college. That wouldn't be a problem at all. And I want to take business associates. You need that to open up your own church or ministry or facilities.
How would you support yourself?
I actually received Social Security. I received it before my incarceration. So I would just take my demolition paper straight to Social Security, and they turn your check back on immediately. And apart from that, working part-time.
Okay. Is there a statement you'd like to make to us?
I just want to thank y'all. I truly hold myself accountable. I've learned from my mistakes, and I'm a better person now. And I just ask that if y'all could please give me this chance, you won't regret it. God bless y'all, and thank y'all.
Thank you. Thank you. Is the panel prepared to vote? Or would you, I would like for an executive session to discuss confidential matters.
I second that.
Can you call the roll, staff? Teresa?
Ms. Renatza,
Yes.
Mr. Roche,
Yes.
Mr. Wise.
Yes.
Well, it was about a 6-minute wait, but I'm going to go over the details of this case after the ones that Richard had provided.
All right, we are back in regular session. Let me see if Mr. Wise is back in with us. I don't see Mr. Wise yet. There he is. There he is. Okay, we're back in regular session, Ms. Boyce, and we're ready to vote. Mr. Roche will vote first.
Ms. Boyce. Ms. Bauer, would you unmute the mic? Ms. Bauer?
There it is.
Okay.
Ms. Boyce?
Yes, sir.
I have some concerns about releasing you today, and I'm going to tell you why. DWI is a very, very serious offense. And I know you had some problems with medication after 2015, but you were arrested for DWI once before that. In 2013, you were on supervision, and that supervision was revoked because you tested positive for cocaine. I think he had a long history with drugs and pills prior to 2015, so that concerns me. You also have law enforcement opposition, and as I went over in my interview, you had a substantial arrest record prior to 2015. For those reasons, I'm going to vote to deny you today because I have some concerns. And when I have those concerns, I have to lean towards the side of public safety. And DWI is a very serious offense. Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Roche. Mr. Wise?
This time I'm gonna vote to deny because of the same reasons, Mr. Roche, and good luck. Right back just as quick as you can.
Ms. Boyce, I agree with my colleagues. I'm concerned that you still have some issues that you need to deal with. I don't believe you were, there's some things I think you haven't faced yet. I mean, you tried to blame your DWI for this offense on your traumatic brain injury, and sure that could be a contributing factor, but you had some history before that you were not very forthcoming with us about. So I think, I just have some concerns. So my vote today is to deny for the same reasons that's already been stated. We do wish you well. Good luck to you, ma'am.
Thank you.
When you just like, if you just drift through this case and kind of like don't pay attention, it's like, whatever. It's not really clear, but because of the information that I have from Richard and listening to it multiple times, what I'm picking up here is a roach of the ultimate degree. I mean, she starts off the hearing by saying, well, she wanted to divorce her husband, and then he beat her so bad she ended up in the hospital, and it's only because of that she got her third DUI conviction. And then you hear through the different children she has, and two of the youngest, her husband has custody. Now, this is the same husband that reported to police that this 8-year-old girl, his daughter, was being left in the hands of two men, a 34-year-old and a 74-year-old man, who were doing the worst to her. She was 8 years old at the time. And I don't know if you picked up on it. She had those two charges. She had the DUI 5 years, another 5 years for the habitual DUI, and then 1 year for failure to report a crime. That failure to report a crime, she was aware, she knew that those two men, those two monsters, were doing this to her daughter, and she did not stop it. The only reason it stopped was because her ex-husband, the evil one who beat her up and sent her to the hospital, I'm sure he did. That's why they gave him custody. These roaches, they come in all shapes and sizes, and you cannot just look at it. Oh, she looks innocent enough. She looks, no, she's just as bad as all of them, if not worse, because it's dangerous. Can you imagine her own biological daughter, 8 years old, and she's not doing everything in her power to protect her? And the irony of it, or the sickness of it, and the law of it, is that they give her 5 years for the DUI, 5 years for habitual, and just 1 year for not stopping the acts against what they did to her daughter. And if I had to guess, this is an opinion, this is nothing else than an opinion, it would probably was done involuntarily. She was probably bartering her daughter for exchange of something, another hit. It's just my opinion, okay? It's nothing more than that. The men that did it to the daughter, Richard provided the court hearing. He pleaded down to a 10-year deal. That's all he got, 10 years. Got pretty much the same as she did for those DUIs. A DUI they take seriously because the potential of getting into a car and then altering the life of someone. serious injury or worse. Well, it's the same thing when you let out to do that to a child. You're altering the life of a child. Serious injury or worse. I don't know why they can't take it, why they can't, but this is stuff we need to take up with the legislator. Like, they need to change the way that they sentence these criminals, these monsters. I'm glad that they denied her, but it's important that we saw this hearing, how manipulative, how slick they can be. And thankfully, we had a good board that picked up on different things. But also, this is why it's so critical that the assistant district attorney shows up and speaks. Okay, so that hearing took place on October 29, 2020. Now we're about to watch the hearing that took place on November 30th, 2021. And before we jump in, I just want to, some other things I realized that I missed in my unpacking was that she actually said, I want to say my child is, one of them is 14. It's like, really? You want to say? And I think she probably said that she has to be honest 5 times. And, whenever someone says, I'm going to be honest. But yeah, and we'll go over some more information, a little bit more detail at the end of this.
Also, the next hearing, there is some.
You think she's going to get paroled?
Just
you tell me.
I tried to fix it, but
classified as a third felony offender. Offense: DWI, failure to report the commission of certain felonies. DWI, third offense, child endangerment. Sentencing date, July 9th, 2018. Sentenced to a total of 10 years. Parole date is July 5th, 2020. Good time, January 10th, 2027. Full term, January 5th, 2028. Is this information correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Roche.
Thank you, Ms. Teresa. Good afternoon, Ms.
Good
Boyce.
evening.
How you doing?
I'm doing good, sir. How are you?
Good. Ms. Boyce, I'm going to enter some information into the record, and then we're going to have a conversation, okay?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Boyce, you're currently 39 years old, and you've been incarcerated for approximately 4 years on a 10-year sentence. Is that correct?
No, sir, that's not correct.
Okay. How long have you been incarcerated?
I've been incarcerated 6 years and 5 months. My arrest date was August the 5th to 15.
1 second.
Yes, sir.
Then your time calculation is wrong. You have a 10-year sentence, and you are full term in 2028.
Okay.
Which is 6 years from now. Am I correct?
I'm not exactly sure how that works with the law, but if I've done 6 years and 5 months, I would only have 4 years remaining, correct?
Then your full term date is incorrect. You need to check with classification.
Oh, yes, sir. I'll get it checked out. Thank you.
Okay. Because they have you incarcerated in 2018, and you have 949 days of credit.
Yeah.
So I would check that out.
Yes, sir.
The master record has your full term date as January 5th, 2028, which is approximately 6 years and 1 month from now.
Okay, I'm definitely going to get that corrected.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for helping me.
Okay, now, you're a third felony offender, and you have 21 adult arrests on your record. That's about right?
Yes, sir.
And you have multiple DWIs. How many times have you been arrested for DWI?
If I'm correct, I believe it was 3.
Well, it's probably 4 because you were arrested twice on third offense DWI, and it won't go any further than that. So it's probably 3 or 4.
Yes, sir.
What have you done since your incarceration to address the problem of alcohol and drugs?
Okay, first of all, I want to state that I take full responsibility for my wrongdoing and my actions. I'm actually grateful that y'all denied me last year because it gave me the time to sit and look at myself and really evaluate myself in the areas that I needed to work on. I see now that rather than saying due to the brain injury or the pills, that it was just really my poor choices that led up to all of that. And I take full accountability. I have entered into and graduated the, MRT program, which is moral recognition therapy, sir. Excuse me.
Yeah.
A little bit of a tongue twister there, which is for substance abuse. I graduated the Living in Balance 1 and 2, which is also for substance abuse. I partook in the Parenting to Better Myself as a Parent. I graduated that program. I graduated the Prison Fellowship Academy program that they had here. I partook in anger management and graduated that. They had some substance abuse associated in some of those areas with that class. I took, what else did I take? Lord, help me remember. Celebrate Recovery. That's definitely involving alcohol and drugs. I took the GED program. Was there any more classes in this case that I just remember?
Angel.
Risk management.
Okay. Angel.
Yes, sir.
Before we cover any more, let's talk about some of those you mentioned. Okay. You've taken risk management 1 and 2. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
And what did you get from risk management?
This is what I learned from risk management is that I had to learn how to take full responsibility for my wrongdoing, and that a substance is not the answer, that it only provided a temporary quote unquote happiness, and that I really learned how to make wiser choices through the classes that I graduated, rather than just acting out like the old me would have and just making a quick decision. I learned that I need to think things through. I sometimes even sleep on it if necessary, pray about it, and then proceed with a choice. Okay. That way I can make a wiser choice.
Okay, living in balance.
Living in balance taught me, it healed me a lot of the things that I had been through in the past. It taught me how to apply some everyday skills and tools to my life to help me be better, like as far as daily evaluating of self goes, and even writing down things that I had been through and leaving it in the past, working through that and just leaving it there.
Okay, Celebrate Recovery.
Celebrate Recovery taught me a lot about God. It was faith-based. That was probably one of my favorite classes. What Celebrate Recovery did for me was showed me who I am in Christ more. And the steps that we took in that classroom, we had to work out daily, looking at ourselves, the inner self of who we really are, and taking the necessary steps that we could through scripture to better ourselves, to be the best that we could be.
And you've taken all 3 of those since October of 2020.
Yes, sir, I have.
Okay. You've been busy.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So after all that programming, tell me, how can a female adult stand by and let a 7-year-old be sexually abused by her step-grandfather and your boyfriend? How did that happen?
To be completely honest with you, sir, I was in a very, very abusive, controlling relationship. Very, very physically abusive, mentally, emotionally, and sexually. And at that time of my life, he had taken full control over me, my children, just everything. And I did not find out about what had happened until after they were arrested. And then that's when I found out the truth of where everything laid. It's not something that I stood by and watched. It was something that I didn't have knowledge of until after the fact. And then the truth finally came to the surface.
So basically, you are convicted of a crime you didn't commit.
No, actually, they dropped everything down to accessory to the fact of wait, what is it called? No, not accessory. I'm sorry, failure to report a felony. That's what it was. They dropped the charges down to failure to report a felony because they said that I had known about the crime and the crime was not reported right away. That was the reasoning for that.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell me about your transition plan.
My transition plan, I have a very good support system at home. I have actually, everyone in my past who is not healthy for me, I cut all ties with them years ago, except for my children. My children are going to stay in my life. My plan is to go to Delta College to partake in business management. And also I'm going to be a student and a volunteer assistant at Blessings for You Ministries, working under the pastor there.
Okay.
And I have.
Do you have your GED? Do you have your GED?
I took the program here. Me and Miss Clark, she could not find someone to help me with my math. I excelled in every subject except for the math. It's always been like that for me. My math, I don't learn math the way a lot of people learn math. I have to have a specialist sit down with me and show me different ways to work math problems out until I can finally get it. But even then, it's difficult for me. So I'm really going to need help. And she did try. She did, but she couldn't find somebody who could help me with that. So we both agreed that it would be best for me to complete it at home where I could have somebody there to help me.
Tell me about your disciplinary record.
I've never had a write-up. I've never been in any trouble at all.
What is your current job assignment?
My current job assignment is I'm the chaplain's assistant, and I also counsel the women on the compound.
I made a note that I was concerned about your substance abuse and
yes,
alcohol problems, but I see you've completed Living in Balance, Celebrate Recovery, and Risk Management 1 and 2. And that should be sufficient. Hopefully you will take that information and put it into action when you're released.
Yes, sir, I will.
Now, one of your charges was driving while intoxicated, and you had a 13-year-old juvenile as a passenger. Tell me about that.
Okay, I was just released from the hospital with a severe brain injury at that time, and the medications that I was taking, to be honest with you, I barely remember bits and pieces of it because of my medication in the severe brain injury. But I just know that when I woke up from it, I just know that they told me my children were in the back seat. That's what they told me, and that's why they charged me with the child endangerment.
Why were you driving yourself home after a hospital stay?
It was actually after I had just got released from the hospital, but I was like in and out of it, like up here. And so I really wasn't aware of what was going on with me. Like it's like I was physically present, but mentally I wasn't present at that time.
So when you say just released from the hospital, you don't mean you were driving from the hospital?
No, I wasn't driving from the hospital. I had been released. My husband at the time had brought us home. Okay. He went to prison. And then when I left to leave, sir, I don't even remember, to even be honest with you, to even tell you. I just woke up in a jail and they explained to me what happened. And that's the God's honest truth.
Have you taken a course called Victim Awareness?
Yes, sir, I have.
And what did you get from Victim Awareness?
This is what I learned about victim awareness. I learned that my actions, being poor that they were at that time of my life, really affected a lot more people than what I thought. I thought that I had only hurt myself and even my close family, but I see that it really affected the whole community. And I learned that you have to treat people the way you would want to be treated. And I took self-inventory with that. And I asked God to please touch everyone's heart, that they would forgive me for my poor choices that I made in the past. And I just learned to do right by people with that class. I didn't realize the impact that your choices really have on a community and people as a whole, but now I know better, so I'm going to do better.
Thank you, Ms. Boyce. Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Roche. Is there any input from the staff there at LTCW?
Yes, ma'am. We have Chaplain Bailey and Correctional Officer Bell who would like to speak on her behalf, if that's okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. My name is Tilly Bailey. I'm the current chaplain here at the Women's Correctional. I met Angel on October the 4th of this year, and she came in just gentle as a lamb, and she introduced herself, and she said that she was the assistant to the last chaplain. So she was like, I don't know if you want to keep me or not. I told her, I said, you might as well continue because I didn't put you there and I can't take you down. So immediately she started praying. And that day I actually had a wig on because my hair, I had not went to the beautician. And she was praying, so it's just like my wig started rising up on my head and I kept pulling it back down. She was praying, I mean, it just sent chills all through my body. Because to meet somebody for the first time and to know that they will bombard heaven with you, I was like in awe. And I thank God that, you know, I allowed her to continue her journey because truly she's a woman of the cloth. She doesn't mind going for battle. She's standing in the gap for all the inmates. She fasts. She had her whole dorm to do the Jericho fast. I mean, she balanced me out. Where I was like, she would give me this look or lay her hand on my back and she'd start praying. And I thank God for her. I really do. She's very amazing lady. And when she catch everybody out of character, she'll pull them to the side and say, now, I want you to know this. And I told her, I said, look, I said, I ain't trying to get it right now. But she was the calmness with the storms that was trying to attack me at the time. And I thank God for her. She's an awesome woman of God.
Well, thank you, ma'am.
She loved me.
We appreciate your remarks. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Roberta Bell, and I've been here at security management going on 3 years now, a little over 3 years. And I can truly say about Miss Angel Boyce that she has did a 101 turnaround, and she's very committed. She's very humble. She stays in her lane, and you never have to correct her. She's never been written up. She's never fell out of place. She's always been courteous, and I feel like she deserves a chance to get out into reality and prove to herself that she is able to
do what she needs to do to live into society. And I also know that she's zero tolerance now for drugs because it's so much that's operating around. And she's truly been faithful in doing what she's supposed to do on the compound. Never had to correct her, never had to say, get in line. She always walked a straight line. Yes. And I think that Miss Angel would be so helpful to the young girls outside society that needs a mentor and to explain to them what could happen when they get involved with these drugs. And I think going to the ministry that she's going to, she could touch a lot of young ladies' lives and save them and let them know where she's been. She don't want to see them go there. And I think that she would be a good inspiration to the young girls in this world today. And that's what we need, you know. Yes.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your insight. Angela, is there something you want to say quickly to wrap it up for us?
Yes, ma'am. Just real quickly, I want to say that I want to use my testimony with what I've been through to help people not make the same choices that I made in the past, and to help them see the red flags that are there with men who are not really there for the right reason. And so I just want to share my story to help other people be better.
All right, thank you.
I thank y'all.
All right, Mr. Roche, we're prepared to vote, and we'll start with you.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Ms. Boyce.
Yes, sir.
You were told to take additional programs last hearing and to get your mind right.
Yes, I needed the time. Thank you.
And you followed our advice.
Yes, I did.
And I don't know about the other two members, but I'm going to give you your reward today for following.
Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
following our
Jesus.
recommendations. Based upon excellent programs since the last hearing, positive remarks by the staff, I'm going to grant your request.
Thank you, sir.
For an early release.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Conditions after release, you're going to have a curfew from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Yes, sir.
You are to attend at least 3 NAAA meetings a week. You are to have random drug screens, and you are to follow all recommendations of the substance abuse programs that you've completed.
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to give you a chance to help the community. I'm going to add that you do community service.
Yes, sir, I will.
I'm going to ask you to do community service 8 hours every quarter. Get with your parole officer, get with your minister, and I want you to talk to the groups that you were talking about just a while ago, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Good luck.
Thank you, and God bless.
Mr. Wise.
At this time, I'm going to vote the same as Mr. Roche. I'm going to vote to grant her on the same condition Mr. Roche stated. I'll follow his lead. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And Angel, I do agree. I think you've worked really hard since we saw you last.
Yes, ma'am.
So my vote is also the same as Mr. Roche with the same special conditions. We wish you well. Good luck to you.
Yes, ma'am. God bless you.
Hallelujah. Thank you, Lord.
Merry Christmas.
Glory to your name.
Dr. Hanson, I think that concludes our business at your.
I'm still just as enraged. What a bizarre case with the same two women who were working at the jail. I mean, saying the strangest things, in my opinion. I mean, talking about as if she's like this preacher that is so holy that her sermons just literally rise you up. Are you kidding me? And during this hearing, it was again, she literally comes in and states that she's learned not to blame things on everyone else, to take accountability, and then she goes immediately to blaming everyone else. Oh, it was all because of my boyfriend, which, by the way, he was a registered sex offender when she brought him into her house with all her children. The whole thing just reeks of injustice. Where's the justice for her 8-year-old daughter, which she had around her SO boyfriend registered, and then and her stepfather, who were both doing for how long? Well, and then she claims to Mr. Roche, it doesn't even make sense. He says, so how come you didn't tell anyone about the crime, what was happening with your daughter? And her answer is, oh, the police dropped it to failure to notify. Well, yeah, that's exactly what we just said. How come you didn't notify anyone? How did she get away with that? I don't understand it. It's like, oh yeah, but it was dropped, failure to notify. I didn't tell the police what was happening to my 8-year-old daughter. And it just seems that it even kept on going, and she kept him around because remember what she said? He picked her up from the hospital and then he went to prison. I mean, read between the lines. How's it? And the whole thing was sketchy and felt like it was a lie. Like she was trying to be deceptive. She said when they talked about the third DUI, she said, "Oh, I was coming back from the hospital, and I was on all this medication." She's trying to make it seem like she was at the hospital. They gave her medication. She's driving home. That's being so deceptive. Then Mr. Roche comes in. Wait, so why would you drive home from the hospital? You didn't have a ride? Oh no, my boyfriend picked me up. The same boyfriend, right? The same boyfriend who just got the same offense. And then he went to prison, and then I drove, but I can't remember anything. I can't remember anything. I just woke up in prison. How is that an excuse? I can't remember anything. Where's Mr. Marabella when you need him? Because he would not have been okay with this. She was in denial. And this one, it's like, talk about how she completely neglects her children. And in my opinion, again, like I said, surrounding her. But was it 3 DUIs or 4? And she's in complete denial about it. She lied in both hearings about what she has. She has, like they said, she has on her record a possession of Pepsi, of hydrocodone, of alazepam, of diazepam, of oxycodone. I'm reading from here, for the court records. Her boyfriend that she brought into her life, lengthy history, and is a registered sex offender in Louisiana. He's convictions of failure to comply. Of course, failure to comply. You're dating a woman with little kids. In just 2009, he was sentenced to 10 years for another sex offense, and yet somehow he got out. Unless it was somehow just to begin doing it all over again. And then we have here. This is thank you, Richard. This is the stepfather, right? I guess his father. They come from real great stock. Not to think that she's going to be preaching in a church. Is that not scary to anyone else? So they the court felt like they should take it easy on the 74-year-old man who was doing this to the 8-year-old. So they dropped it from aggravated R word, and they dropped it to see, this is what he was arrested for. And what did they drop it for? They dropped it to something small. Basically, they dropped it that she was under the age of 13. So, and then they sentenced him to 10 years. And you can say, well, he's 74. He'll get out at 84, 85. You know, that's kind of their goal of it, avoid a trial. And that's assuming he spends all 10 years locked up, right? The report indicates he went there and they interviewed him, and he said that this is what he was doing. He was kissing the 8-year-old, and he was kissing her in places that, you know, he admitted. And that's what he admitted to. But he appealed. He said 10 years is too much. I shouldn't get 10 years. And it just gets me so enraged that all of this happened to these little children, and you get these slap on the wrist sentences for basically everyone involved. And in my opinion, she just came up straight up and lied to the parole board. Didn't take accountability for her actions. Blamed it on her ex, what she brought into her life. Blamed it on her memory. Blamed it on these headaches, and then did the whole. It's just. It didn't show any remorse for her children, in my opinion. It's just disturbing to me. It really is. Now, where is she now? Is she doing well? Well, she might be. We don't have, you know, usually we have like a prison record that we can see. There's actually nothing on her, and you might say that no news is good news in this case. And gosh, I hope that it is, right. I hope that she does stay away from children and stay away from trouble and manage to stay out. But again, still, this case infuriates me. I mean, to have 3 DUIs and to have this aspect with their kids and to have the long criminal record and to still, you know, be released, which I think is a major danger to society, and not having taken accountability and being, I think, deceitful throughout the hearing is, to me, upsetting. But maybe you have a different point of view, and that's okay. On here, Amandu, it's important that we are not an echo chamber. But with that, I'll let you go. I should probably say and with that, I'll let you go. I don't think but with that.